Welcome home, Cojourners. I'm glad you're here for another episode. I'm Dr.Thema, a licensed psychologist, ordained minister, and sacred artist, here to help facilitate your journey back home to yourself. And I am so excited as we continue our journey to introduce to you our special guest on today, who is a special sister friend who works with me at Pepperdine University. And I want to tell you about her incredible work, and your heart will be moved just as mine is. Tanya Asim Cooper is a lawyer, clinical professor of law, and a helper. She directs a legal clinic for victims of domestic violence and human trafficking at Pepperdine University's Caruso School of Law. She is also a Christian, and her research focuses on training churches to respond to domestic violence. And I am so glad and honored to have her here today, as we've done a lot of that work together to prepare churches to respond more compassionately to survivors. So Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Thema. It's such a privilege and an honor to be here today. You are such a mentor, a sister scholar. I learned so much from you, and your teaching, preaching, singing, dancing, and healing have helped me better see myself. Thank you.
That is so kind. And Tanya, when you pulled out your homecoming book and I saw the bookmark and I said, look, you have really been on the journey. I love that so much.
Yes. My background is in psychology.
Yeah.
I hope to get back to psychology. Yeah. Why do people act the way they do is incredibly helpful for the practice of law. And it's incredibly helpful for each and every one of us as we want to grow and be better versions of ourselves. And you speak the truth. You're a truth teller, and your wisdom has taught me a lot more about myself.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. I am honored. And you being an attorney, especially around so many issues facing women, it just moves me, and I'm so grateful for the work that you do. We usually start with a poem. So today's poem is called Poem Number 1. That's actually the title. And it's by Carolyn Rogers. Our faces are the light in dark window panes we paint our smiles on. Behind them, we hide the vulnerabilities we want no one else to see. The watercolors of our tears, even the rainbows of our laughter, and the heart that can look through to another heart might turn away from the face. But heart to heart, as face to face should be, are eyes that need not hide. And I just love that piece as setting the tone for us needing not to hide, right? And when we were talking about the fact that we all have multiple homecoming journeys, things that disconnect us from ourselves, and that we have to be intentional about reclaiming ourselves, one of the areas that you named really touched me. And I wonder if you can describe what that is around overextending or overpromising.
Yes, so I'm a helper. As I continue to seek God's purpose for my life and my calling, I continue to come back to God's call for me to help others. And as I do personality tests and learn more about my personality and typology, on the Enneagram, I'm number 2, the helper. And of course, that fits with my personality, but also my career. I've chosen to become a public interest lawyer, helping low-income individuals and often marginalized women in particular, currently helping victims of domestic violence and sexual trafficking, and get so much reward from hearing from them, literally saving lives, but just sometimes being the only person who will believe them. And that has brought so much fulfillment to me. But lately, I have been listening to church sermons, and this summer, the theme was Good Samaritan and how to be a better neighbor. God and Jesus teaches us that the most important commandments, the 2 greatest commandments, love your God,
Yeah.
love your neighbor. Not just love your neighbor, but love your neighbor as yourself. And recently I have felt called by God to really look out for a couple of elderly neighbors. We are in a political climate where there's a debate about who our neighbors are, which is interesting, but I think a non-controversial interpretation of our neighbor is literally who lives next to us, who lives in our neighborhood. And recently, a couple of elderly neighbors have needed help, and I have offered to help them. And this summer, I offered to help them and was helping them with various things, with their home, with their family members, taking them here or there. That was a lot of investment of time and energy. And I would come back having worked with them for 2 days a week, utterly exhausted, not able to do much of anything else except lie on the couch. And at one point realized I'm feeling a little bit resentful. I'm not accomplishing anything because I had not communicated better limits. I hadn't set limits on those relationships or boundaries as to what I could do. And in some instances, I knew they didn't have other people. There was no other family members, there were no other friends or neighbors to help them. And so I thought to myself, well, if I don't help, it's not going to get done. And I took on that responsibility and realized, oh, this is too much, to the point where I did get sick I got a bad chest cold at the end of the summer, right before school started. So there were signs that, and I had not been being mindful of my own physical manifestations of the overburdening of myself that I had placed on myself, but then also that culturally were placed on me as a woman, as a woman of color, a Pakistani woman, and as a Pakistani Christian woman. From all of these different cultures and groups, society, I in particular have been sort of conditioned to do more and more and more. And to the point where I often will burn out. But I hadn't set those boundaries for myself where I'm very good about those in my legal relationships, my attorney-client relationships, setting boundaries with clients that this is the scope of the representation. This is what I'm able to help you with, but not that. And I understand you may have X, Y, and Z legal needs, but really I can help you with X. And mostly what I'm going to do is, together with my students, I'm going to come alongside you and I'm going to give you the information and help empower you to make that decision for yourself. But I cannot solve all of the problems that you may have. But I wasn't using those same tools as I was for these helping relationships with neighbors. And I burnt out.
Yeah. I so appreciate you sharing that. And I think so many people can relate, that so many of you can connect with the idea of, as a woman of color, as a Christian, or whatever your faith tradition may be, us getting, and then it also may be, as you said, your personality, right, is to be helpful. But it can get to a point where I am not only helping them, but I am erasing me, I'm abandoning me, I'm neglecting me. And it was interesting because when you shared, those 2 laws or 2 principles or 2 scriptures, you said them the way we often say them, which is the shortened version, right? So the way you said it was love God and love your neighbor, right? But the full scripture is love your neighbor as yourself. Right? But you said that oftentimes we feel guilty for loving ourselves. That self-love gets presented as selfish, right? That self-love is, that's not a good woman or that's not a good person of faith. And so to really consider, one of the things that was liberating for me was you gave the example of Jesus, that I would say, like, Jesus was the king of self-care. Like the king of boundary setting. He would be like helping all these people, and then they're like, where did he go? And he like went off on a boat by himself, right? Or he went off to pray, or he went to a garden to spend time alone, or everyone is frantic and stressed out and he's down below taking a nap, right? And so for us to take in that it is holy work, righteous work, this idea of if I'm a temple too. So yes, my neighbors, especially, my elderly neighbors, they are temples and they are deserving of care. And if I am also a temple, right, if I am also sacred, then some things have to shift. And what happened to you is often what happens to us is the wake-up call comes in sickness, right? So being physically sick, but then as you also named, the resentment can grow, which then we can also feel bad about that, right?
Right.
Like
it's a cycle.
So now I feel bad that I'm resentful, so I need to give more. And, when we were talking previously, you were describing how the giving kept becoming all-encompassing. So first you would go visit, and then they needed a ride to the doctor.
That's right.
And then you would do a drop-off. But then you started staying, right?
I stayed. I went into the doctor's appointment.
Now you're in the doctor's appointment of your neighbor. And then afterwards, you all would go get something to eat.
That's right.
And then when you described them knowing your schedule, so that if you weren't teaching, they expected you to be at their home.
That's right.
Right? Yeah. So it's what you were saying of like, what expectations we have given people. And I know you all, it's a slippery slope because once you say yes to something, it's hard to change, right? It's hard. Like I've been giving all my days or all these hours. So then it can be hard for you and hard for them for you to shift. So so your wake-up call was the emotional and physical effect. And so what has been helping you either plan to set more limits or already setting limits? What's helping you do that?
Your book, and also reminding myself that I cannot control all of these things. I cannot be everything to everyone. Even if I sometimes think I can, or I can do it better. I can't really. And so communicating that, yes, even though I don't teach on Fridays, I am often still on campus or I have other things to do. And when we step back, as you've taught me, other people will step up.
That's right.
And that is what I saw. So when I said to my neighbor, I'm sorry, I really can't take you to X, Y, and Z. I have school starting, and I'm also recovering from this chest cold. Other people did. People came to her.
Beautiful.
People came to her to give her care, or a family member that she was previously estranged with. We reached out to. And that person stepped up too. And it was like, yes, that's right. It does. We live in community. We do not, it's not individual that we have to take on responsibility and do everything ourselves. And actually the way that we communicated was not anger or frustration when I said no. It was, oh, of course you can't do it. Yeah. Of course you need to rest, And by the way, here are some ideas of other ways I can get this.
Beautiful.
Or can you help me, send an email? Yes, I can. I might not be able to spend a half a day taking you, but I can send an email.
These are so good. One, what you named, I think, is often the piece for us, which is control. Right? So sometimes the reason we're overextending ourselves is the idea that, like, I'm the mini Messiah. And as you said, like, if I don't do it, it won't be done. And really discovering to create space. Either one, sometimes other people will step up, the example you gave. And then two, sometimes some things won't be done or won't be done today. And that's okay, right? And it's not the end of the world. And I would also just encourage, and I'm glad she said, you need to rest, because sometimes you can think, I have to say no because I'm on campus, or I have to say no because I have work to do. But can I also say no because I just want to sit in my house?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I just want to be still and rest.
Right.
And not feel guilty about it.
Right. I shouldn't feel like I need to give a reason why I can't help. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm just not available.
Right.
Ooh, that's good. I like
I'm
that.
just not available.
That's
and
right.
what's beautiful is her response. Now, I will say it's not always that gracious. Some people will get angry or entitled. But I love her response was easy because guess what? She's been living all these years without you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's not something like, how am I going to live? It's, of course, you can't do everything.
Right.
And, I'll figure it out. And then also adjusting the request. Instead of you driving me, can you help me send an email? Which is, a whole different level of giving. So a part of what we want to think about therapeutically is changing the story we tell ourselves of what makes a good neighbor, right? And can I be a good neighbor with boundaries or limits? Can I be a good neighbor that's not always available? Can I redefine for myself what that looks like so that it rings true for me, but that also honors me?
Yes.
So if I love her the way I love me, then how am I loving me, right? And, I wonder if what comes to mind if you think about what have been the messages or models of self-neglect.
Oh, that's a good one. A tendency to erase myself, not think about what I need. I need to do this. I have a deadline. I can eat later, right?
Yeah.
Or I can catch up on sleep.
Yeah. I appreciate both of those examples because I can relate. I think I give the example in the book of when I first started as a therapist, setting clients all through the day and missing lunch because it was like, oh, I can eat later, right? Or I don't need rest. So, that tendency to feel like we don't need very much often comes from people who grew up in situations where they couldn't need very much, or they would be disappointed.
Yes.
So you learn not to be disappointed by having very low expectations of everyone else, right? So it's almost like this reparenting moment of what do I want to say to that girl child who internalized the message, don't need too much.
Yes. Right. That's one part of your book. Let's see. I folded down the top. Yeah. I folded up the bottom. I've underlined. But you may have been raised to tiptoe in the presence of people who were so self-absorbed, there was little room for your voice, needs, or feelings. As a result, you may default to people-pleasing mode without any awareness or active intention. You may live in that psychological space of constantly adjusting and contorting yourself to please others, even when it hurts you. Profound. And I thought, yes, this is what I do.
Yes.
And I noticed you mentioned with your clients, early on in my legal career, I had friends and family members seek me out for legal advice. This was outside of my area of expertise, and it was also in a different state. And I felt like, I have this knowledge, I have this training, I can be helpful. And I was on the legal research engines, and my husband said, what are you doing? You're not licensed in that particular state. I was like, yes, that's right. I had to check myself.
Yeah.
We actually have a duty of competence as lawyers under the ethical rules to know the laws, to know the practice and procedures in the particular jurisdiction if we seek to give legal advice. And so that was an external constraint I remembered. Luckily, I remembered. But there are instances where because you have this expertise, because you have this training, because you have this degree, because you have these credentials, people feel entitled to ask you for this advice. And I am learning to say, I'm sorry, I believe you, I'm sorry that you're going through this. I can't give you legal advice. This is outside of my area of expertise. I can try to connect you perhaps with referrals.
Yes.
And resources, but also I can't solve this problem for you.
Yeah.
I'll walk with you through it, but you can't rely on me for that.
Yes.
And that has been, I've lost friendships and soured family relationships because of that boundary, which I realize in retrospect, that wasn't anything about me or what I said.
Yes. Yes.
But that's been challenging.
Thank you for sharing that. And again, I can definitely relate, both strangers and family and friends. Feel like you're the one person they know who has the information. So now it must be your duty or obligation at all times to not only provide it to them, but to anyone they know, right? So being very clear about that. But I also thank you for the example that it can cost some things. So in this case, it costs some relationships. And that's something that many times we don't hear, that when you set a boundary, not everyone's going to like it. That when you say no, not everyone's going to cheer, and that that's okay. It is not your deficit as a family member or a friend or a neighbor. It is their own false expectations that because you did not do all of this, then somehow we're not connected. Because what happens is they are no longer seeing your humanity, right? And also believing that you must be all wise, all knowing, and have all energy, right? Which just isn't the case. Yeah. So as you shifted into that, I'm glad your husband helped you to set that boundary, but then also naming the distinctions is so important. Did you have one more quote you wanted to read?
Oh, goodness. I have more than one quote. You know, this was also from the section of Homecoming on control issues. You may try to control everything and everyone around you. You may lack trust or faith in others' ability or decision-making, and this sabotages your relationships. Sometimes with experience, with training, with education, it can feel like, you know, I need to control the scenario. I can control the scenario. And really, it's humbling to remember, no, I can't. And getting back to, why is that person acting the way they are? Often in my legal cases, I'm thinking, how did this person get here? How did we get here? And how can we solve it? And sometimes the answer is really to sort of step back and realize, like, we can do this, but we cannot control the outcome, especially for victims of, you know, sexual violence. We believe them, we can make a case for them in court, we can present their evidence, but we cannot promise them that they will prevail, that the judge will believe them, that their evidence will be enough, and that they will get the relief that they sought. And that has been very frustrating. And something that my students and I regularly have to talk about, you know, we can't promise a win. We can't promise a restraining order, you know, but we can promise to come alongside you and do our very best and believe you. And sometimes in those scenarios where a client loses, and it is almost always a woman of color who's lost. There's a different standard for women of color, especially when they endure sexual violence and they speak up about it and they seek relief and justice from it. There's a separate standard. And so we say to them at the end, if we have not prevailed, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And they say to us oftentimes, that's okay. It wasn't what you did or didn't do. It was something else. But you made me feel supported. You made me feel heard. You made me feel better about losing.
Wow.
Yeah.
The importance of believing and supporting each other even in the midst of being in a unjust system,
Yes.
right? So that injustice is a reality, that need is great. And so I'm going to do my part for others, but also do my part for myself. And you started today in your introduction that I read, identifying as a helper. And I wonder what it is like for you to identify as helped.
Helping others is helping myself. I feel helped when I'm able to help each other, but not at the expense of myself, where
So
there is a balance.
I'm gonna ask.
Okay.
So one form of helping yourself is helping others. Separate from helping others, what's it like for you to receive help?
Oh, great question. And one that I'm struggling with. What does it feel like, to be helped, to ask for help, which is hard.
Either spontaneously people, maybe your husband helping without you asking, or also asking. What are both like?
Wonderful. They're wonderful. When somebody sees me, when they identify what I need, whether they ask for help, if I need help or they just supply it, it feels wonderful, And again, I sort of minimize that. I'm struggling with examples right now with what examples could I give you of how I've been helped?
So
that's somewhere I need to work on.
That's a way to recognize that I not only am deserving of help, but I actually need help. We convince ourselves I'm fine, I can carry it by myself. But I love that it can feel good to you, right? That the few times whenever it has happened, actually feel wonderful. And I mirror back to you what you mirror to those clients, which is I see you, I hear you, I honor you, and you are deserving of being poured into.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We all are.
Yes.
We all are. So I invite your soul to tell your heart, mind, body, and spirit, welcome home.
Welcome home. Yes, thank you.
Oh, you are welcome. Thank you. And see you all next time.